Welcome to the Daily Tanya. Today is Monday, the 24th day of Adar Aleph, the first Adar. Let's begin with Tzedakah. Gedola, Tzedakah, Shemakarev is a Geula. Tzedakah brings Mashiach closer. So yesterday we started chapter 32. 32 is Leiv, Lamed Beis, Leiv, the heart of the Tanya, where the Alter Rebbe discusses how it is possible to love one another like you love yourself. We ask the questions, how is it possible? Many commentators say when Torah says you should love your fellow like you love yourself, it doesn't mean literally. It means you should act towards your fellow like you want to act to yourself or people to act to you. But the Alter Rebbe says no. Other commentators, the Rambam, Maimonides among them, says that it means literally. You should love your fellow like you love yourself, and the question is, how is it possible? So we started the explanation yesterday, saying that indeed, if a person views himself as his physical self, then it's impossible to love somebody else like you love yourself. Our physical bodies compete with each other. If there's something that you like and I like, then we are competing. It's impossible to love somebody like we love myself. But if the body is not what I care about, if the physical me is something that I really don't care about, why? It's not that I don't care for my body. Of course, I want to be healthy. I want to do everything right. But when I think about my neshama, my soul, what is my true me? What is the main important thing in me that I care about is my soul, my connection with God, the soul that is in my body. So I look at my body, I look at my physical self, and I see how low it is and how loathsome it is because it goes against God's will. What is important is to release my neshama, my soul. And that brings great joy. When I know I do things for my neshama, I do things for my soul. And whatever happens with my physical self is not important. It is what my neshama, my soul is doing. How is my spiritual pulse doing? That's what I keep checking. And every mitzvah that I do, every time I do a mitzvah, I pray, I help someone, it is causing a tremendous joy because I'm bringing my neshama, I give him some oxygen to my soul. Now, if you look at yourself, at what is important to you, and if what is important to you is your neshama, your spiritual self, then when you look at someone else, what do you admire about someone else? You also admire the neshama. The way you view yourself, that's how you view others. If you care about external things like beauty, like talents, like wisdom, those are all external things. Yeah, so if that is what you care about, then you will love someone who looks beautiful. You will love someone who is kind. You love someone who is smart. And the more as soon as you realize that it's not so like you thought, then the love goes. It's something which is dependent on something else. But if you view someone else in the inner part, in the neshama, in the soul, if that is the way you view yourself, this is how you're going to view somebody else. If this is what's important to you, then you see another person, another human being, and say, wait a second, here's another neshama. My neshama and his neshama are all one neshama. So let's see inside what the Alter Rebbe says. Says the Alter Rebbe, indeed, it is possible to love someone else like you love yourself, because if your physical self is something which is loathsome by you, the neshama is the main thing, then that's how you view somebody else. So since his body is despised and loathsome, he will not love himself on the account of his body more than he loves his fellow. Why not? Because the other person has a neshama, just as you. However, you can ask this question, but wait a second. Isn't there different levels in souls also? So maybe the other person's soul is not as holy, is not as high as yours, as your soul. So the Alter Rebbe says this, you never know. It could be a person that is acting very low, but his soul can be very high. And indeed it says that each soul has something that the other soul doesn't have. That's answer number one. Answer number two, the Alter Rebbe will say that really we are all one. We are all part of one. In a higher level, in the higher roots of the neshama, we are all coming from one place. So that's what Alter Rebbe says. Ve'hanefesh ve'ruach mi yodeya gdulason u'ma'alason b'sharashon u'mekoiron b'elikim chaim. As for the soul and spirit, the differences between his soul and that of his fellow surely will not diminish the love between them. Why? For who can know their greatness, the soul and the spirit's greatness and excellence in their source and root, the living God? How then can one claim that his soul is superior to his fellows? You can't claim that. Not only that, says the Alter Rebbe, that if you go into a deeper level of the soul, we are really all one. B'shegam shekulam matimais. Furthermore, they are actually all equal. All souls are equal in a higher level. And even a deeper level yet, if you go into the roots of the soul, they're really one. Ve'av echad lekolana. And not only equal yet separate, but furthermore, they all have one father, one source. And within their source, they all comprise one entity. It says about just like the body, physical body, it comes from the drop of the father. A drop of semen originates in the brain. Now that develops in the mother's womb. It develops into a whole human being. With eyes, ears, nose, heart, liver, all organs come and develop from that central point. But originally, it was all one. It comes from one father and one mother, of course. But it originates from the brain of the father, and there it's all one. It's all one part. So in the source of the neshamas, we are all one. There's an Ayom Yom, the Rebbe quotes the saying that when two Jews meet and they talk about some spiritual things to benefit each other spiritually, he says here it is two godly souls, two Yetzer Haras against two Yetzer Tov against one Yetzer Hara. It's two against one. That means that the power of the two neshamas that come together is so powerful, because my neshama and against one evil inclination. Why? Because the evil inclination is all selfish. It's all for themselves. My evil doesn't want that your evil should do bad. I want to enjoy myself. But when it comes to the neshamas, my neshama cares for your neshama. My soul wants your soul. Because we are all one. V'lochein, says the Alter Rebbe, v'lochein nikru kol Yisrael achim mamesh mitzat shoyresh nafsham b'Hashem echad. It is an account of this common root in one God that all of Israel are called brothers in the full sense of the word, not only figuratively in the sense of relatives or similar in appearance and the like. It's really literally, we are literally brothers. Akshagufim mechulakim. Only the bodies are distinct from each other, but really we are all one. This explains how it is at all possible to demand that one love his fellow as he loves himself. Why is that? It says self-love is innate, natural to men. Love for one's fellow is not. So how can a generated love match a natural love? But according to the principle stated here, this is readily understood. One Jew need not create a love for another. The love is an inborn characteristic of a soul on account of its root in godliness, which is common to all souls. It is as natural as the love between brothers. So it's not a love that you need to create. It's not a love you love another Jew because of the qualities of the person. It is something that is there in essence, just like you love your child. It's not a love that you need to develop. So this is what Alter Rebbe concludes here in today's lesson. V'lochein ha'oisim gufam ika v'nafsham tfeila. Therefore, there can be no true love and fraternity between those who regard their bodies as primary and their souls secondary. But only love based on an external factor, because the bodies compete with each other. But the neshamas don't compete. The neshamas complete each other. Since the body separates us from each other, whereas the soul is that which binds us together, the greater value one places on his body at the expense of his soul, the more conscious he is of the differences between himself and his fellow. And these differences require that he create a love for his fellow. And as said above, a created love can never equal a natural, innate love. Therefore, love between people who consider their bodies as primarily important must be only a love based on some external factor. In which case, the love is A, limited to the importance of the motivating factor, and B, it is destined to endure only as long as that factor is valid. So this is the end of today's shir. There was once a young man came to the Rebbe, and he asked the Rebbe a question, a daring question. He was not Lubavitch, he was not a chassid, but he was learning to become a chassid. And he asked the Rebbe, he doesn't understand how come the people, the chassidim, admire the Rebbe so much. They express so much love to the Rebbe. He doesn't understand why. Where is it coming from? Isn't that a little exaggerated? So Hasidim were waiting to hear what the Rebbe told them. This was in a private audience he had with the Rebbe. And they knew that he's going to ask this question to the Rebbe, because he always kept asking that question. He said, I'm going to ask this to the Rebbe. When he came out from the Rebbe's room with a smile from ear to ear. And they said, what did the Rebbe tell you? So he said, the Rebbe told me. The answer is very simple. I love every Jew with an extreme abundance of love. They just give love back. The love that the Rebbe has to each and every one of us is that love. The love of the neshama loves the neshama. It is a love that is no bounds, no limits, and not dependent on anything. Unconditional love. So, Mirz Hashem, we'll see you tomorrow and we'll continue this beautiful chapter. Have a wonderful day.